doing the Spanish interpretation for us today. I've already introduced you to Maria Kramer. She is our bilingual office assistant and receptionist at our Educational Support Services. And then our guest speaker today is Kelly Mockney. She is an educational technology teacher on special assignment, and she's going to be walking us through the CSOP platform. My name is Deb Wickman. I am the Family Engagement TOSA, or Teacher on Special Assignment for the district, and I will be your host this evening. So let me go ahead and move. So just a couple of Zoom tips as we get started. For those of you needing the Spanish interpretation, Maria gave you the directions. You want to look for the globe icon at the bottom, click on it, and you can choose your language. Maria, you want to go ahead and...
Si necesitan interpretación en español, en la pantalla, en la parte de abajo, hay un círculo y dice en interpretación, le pican ahí y luego ya escogen español y van a empezar a escuchar todo en español. Si tienen un teléfono celular, hay tres botoncitos, ahí le pican y ahí es como entran a la plática en español. Gracias.
So at the bottom of your screen, you should see a toolbar. There's a chat feature here that you can use to answer. If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat bar. We'll be monitoring that throughout the presentation. There's also a feature where you can raise your hand. So if you have a question and you'd rather give it orally, just do the raise hand feature and we will be sure to get to your question. And as we're working through the presentation, it helps if everybody would mute your microphone. That way we don't get any back feed from each other. And if we start to get delays or you're having trouble hearing, sometimes it also helps to click your unclick your video button. So we just see your name on the screen. But that's only if we have some technical difficulties here. So before we get started, are there any questions on the directions? Don't see anything. All right, let's go ahead and we'll advance to the next slide. So the format of our meeting for today is going to be, oops, sorry. Very touchy screen. So the format of our presentation is we just did our welcome and introductions. Kelly will be giving us a presentation on Seesaw that will run a few 15-20 minutes long. And then we'll have time at the end for any questions and answers that we can help you with. So if you want to listen to the presentation, and then if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat room or wait till the end of the presentation and we'll be glad to answer them for you. So Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, and if you can go ahead and give me the screen sharing and I'll just share from my screen.
I will do that. Let's see.
All right.
There you go. You should have it now.
All right. All right. You should see my screen there. Are you good?
I believe so.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to walk you guys through our Seesaw platform. We have gone with the Seesaw for our learning management type system for our TK through second graders. It's a great way for teachers to push out lessons and then get really great interactive feedback back from students. It can collect drawing, text, voice, audio, video, all into their activities. So with our little learners, we know that typing on a document is not always the best way to learn. We want them drawing and interacting and moving things around. So Seesaw is a tool that allows teachers to do that. And so that's where a lot of your activities and announcements will come through Seesaw for your TK2 students. Just to give you a general overview of the types of things that you might see in Seesaw. You might see some math where students are taking pictures of things and drawing on there. I love Seesaw for writing, especially with our little learners, because they can write. We want them handwriting. We don't want them to do everything on a screen. So they can do their work on paper and pencil, and they can take a picture of it. They can read it aloud, record their voice, and their teacher can hear and see what they're writing. Teachers can also do different kinds of assessments on Seesaw, where students can read through, the teacher can mark what words they're saying. So in this virtual learning type of environment that we're in, it's a great tool to be using when we can't see students face to face. So I'm going to talk about the 2 ways that your students will be accessing Seesaw. If they have an iPad or some kind of a tablet, you're going to want to have them download the Seesaw Class app. And if you have a school device, that's going to be from our self-service app in there. And if you have questions, we can get to those at the end or in a minute. If you have a Chromebook or a computer at your house, you're going to be going through the website link to get to Seesaw. And if they're going through Rapid ID, they can get to that link through there. If you have the iPad, they don't necessarily have to go through that Rapid ID link. They can go right to the Seesaw app. When they log into Seesaw, it'll always give them the choice of who's logging in. And so they say that they're a student. If they haven't logged in or the device has forgotten them, students can always use this sign in with Google option, and it's a button that you actually click. Sometimes it gets confusing because you want to put their email and password there, but you'll actually sign in with Google, and this little Google sign in will pop up. And we can post these directions when we post about this on the website. But the student's email address, their Google account that they have, even though they're TK first, second graders, they have a Gmail account, and it's with Oceanside Unified, and it's their student ID number at oside.us. And if you miss that part, Google's not going to recognize that. And then so a little bit, we have to go around and around to get them logged in. So I know that it can be frustrating at times, but then you have to go through our portal at that point to get the students logged in with that same student ID number and their birthday password, which for TK through 2, all of their passwords is their birthday with 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year. So those are ways that you can get into the class without having special codes. Are there any questions about logging in before I move on? Anything in the box, or you can unmute yourself. I know that logging in has been challenging the first couple weeks. It always is, even if we were in the classroom, because typing things in is challenging, we know, but soon the devices will remember who they are and it will be less clicks to get them going.
Kelly, we had several parents come in late to the presentation, so we might want to go over this part again at the end of the presentation, just to.
Sure,
so that
absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll be posting this presentation on the website, and you can watch this video to see what it's like to log in with that Google. I'm not going to play it right now. But if that's something that you're struggling with getting them logged in or signing in with Google, you can watch that video tutorial. Okay, so our next part is I'm going to show you what it looks like for students when they get an activity. So I'm going to escape out of there, and I'm going to show you a Seesaw activity. So when your student is logged in, they'll see their class. Now this is just a sample class that I have, but they'll see their name along the side here, and they'll see activities that their teacher has placed for them. And I'm going to do a sample response just so you can see the types of things that students can do and what they should do. So anytime that there's an activity, especially with TK2, they're probably going to need help reading it, but a lot of teachers will put the audio instructions. So if your child is working independently, they can play those instructions and listen to them. And then this green button is where the student would add a response. And I'm just going to use a sample student. So here are my instructions at the top. You can always go back and look at them. And it's telling me to use the text tool. It's telling me to use a drawing tool. And it's even telling me to use a microphone here and to press the check when we're done. So those are just all important things for students to know. So here on the left, you're gonna see these tools. So the T is for text, and that's going to put a text box, and I can click on this box to move it where I want it to be. And I can type in that box whatever words that I want. If your student is not ready to type, they can use the microphone, and that little microphone, I have to allow it on my computer, and it's going to tell me that it's going to start recording. And right now my whole screen turned red, and so it's recording my voice right now. And when I'm all done, I would stop, and that recording will play for the teacher, so that if the student wants to read what they want to say or explain their story, they would use that. Students can also upload a video or a photo. So if they've done the work on paper and pencil, they can take a picture of it right there. Lots of options to add work. Then down here, you have all of these different pencil type things. So if a student wants to draw on this document, that's where they can draw. They can change the colors, they can change the thickness. So all of these tools, and it's okay for them to play the first couple times and explore and watch, and it's okay to erase. There's a little eraser there, so they make a mistake. Once they get used to the tools, it will become easier, but all those tools are there for them. And then when they're done, you have to collect this, check this done box right here. And it comes up with this play button because I was recording my voice, so the teacher will know to push play when the teacher goes to see that. So that's gonna upload it for the teacher to see. And then the teacher can add comments down here. You might notice that your teacher will put things like good job, or they might give them some suggestions, or if they missed a part, the teacher can send it back for them to work on again. And as a parent, you can see what they're doing in the Family app, which I'll talk about in a minute. So any questions about what the students are doing when they're in Seesaw? I see a hand. Do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
I have a question. So I logged in my daughter into the Seesaw, but then as she's doing an assignment, it says that she can't take a picture of herself. That I need to have access to the iOS setting. How do I access the camera? Like put it on?
That's a great question. So I'm gonna stop sharing because you should be able to see me. Make sure that you're using the app when you're on your iPad, and then you can go to the settings button on your iPad. It's that gear icon. And if you scroll to Seesaw along the apps, along the bottom, along the left side, there should be an option to turn on microphone and photos.
Okay, I see it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I've noticed that if you try to do Seesaw on the iPad, but you use it through Safari, it doesn't let the photos or videos come up. You have to be in the app.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Great question. All right, so I'm gonna go back to, where are we? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the two types of apps. So what we were just talking about, what the students would see would be in that class app that would be on the student device. Now, for you as a parent, you're going to want to download the Seesaw Family app. And I recommend you do this on your phone because then you keep it separate than what the child is working on. And the Family app is more just for communication with the teacher. You can send and receive messages straight from the teacher. And you can also see just your students' work that they have completed, and you can review the comments, and you can also comment. Now, I know in our situation right now, you're home with your child, and so you get to comment on them in live time. But this is really great that if we go back to the classroom, it's great to see what students are doing in the classroom, and you can comment there too. And students like to see a little good job, or I see that you worked hard on this, those types of comments. So that Seesaw Family app will be what you download, and ask your teacher if they haven't already sent one, the invite code to get hooked up on the Family app. All right, so that is Seesaw in a nutshell. Are there any other questions, any other areas? Go back to that screen.
Kelly, it might be helpful to go back and go through some of those first couple of slides, especially on the login, because we did have several parents that came in late to the meeting.
Yes, and I do have a couple tips on the logging in and the apps right now that I should probably touch upon. Okay, so back to here. So there's two ways that students will two different choices that students have to access it, either on an iPad or a Chromebook website. If they are on the iPad, they're gonna wanna have the Seesaw Class app, and you can download that from self-service on a school iPad. If you have your own personal iPad device, you can download that from the App Store. A little note about the app and our current Content Keeper filtering system. All school devices that are sent home have to go through our content filtering. It keeps students safe, it keeps content protected on the devices, and sometimes it does not push directly to the app. So if I'm on my app and I'm trying to get to Seesaw and an error comes up, and I'll put directions to this on when we post the review of the Academy today. So if you get an error, you can go to Safari and type in Seesaw and get that Content Keeper filtering login to pop up. Once that pops up, you can log in and then return to your app. It's an extra step, but it is what's keeping our students safe when they're on the devices and protected. The Chromebooks will also pop up with that content filter, but it seems like it just pops up at the very beginning of the session and they don't have to keep logging in. The iPads want to get that login for every new thing. So if they're going on Zoom, they need to log in. If they're going on Seesaw, they need to log in. So once the student gets either to their website or the app, the same type of screen will pop up. The students say, I'm a student, and your teacher might have given you a code, but you don't always have to have that code. Students can always, no matter where they are, if they're on a personal device, a phone, a school device, they can sign in with Google because they've all been rostered with their student ID number and their Google account. And to do that, when you sign in with Google, I'm having that same problem, Deb, with my touchy screen.
Glad it's not just me.
When they sign in with Google, the Google sign in box pops up. It looks like that. And the student ID number at oside.us is the student email address. You don't have to put in a personal email address. You don't have to have your thing. It's all related to the student here for this class app. Once they do that, our Rapid ID portal verifies that that's the right account. So in that section, it would be their student ID number. and their birthday as their password to get to the next step. And there is a video that walks you through that whole process. And any questions about what the learning journal looks like? You'll see that the activities scroll down and you can see what's in your child's account. You'll see, here's my sample students. Here's my own child. He has nothing there. Here's another sample student. But you'll be able to see what is completed, what is there. The inbox would be announcements that the teacher has placed. You might find Zoom links in that announcements section. So that if you're looking for, you know, how the teacher's communicating, you can look there. So activities are going to be the activities that the teacher has posted that day. And once the student completes that activities, it goes into their journal. And this journal is something that can be kept all year long, kind of like a portfolio of all of their work, their digital responses, their audio, video, all of that is in their journal.
So are there any questions? Just to let you know, we have recorded today's session and it will be posted on the district website. Before we log off here, I'd like to show you where you can access directions on this and some of our other programs so that if you want to go back later and kind of do a self-guided walkthrough, we've got several resources for you.
And it looked like Mrs. Rubalcaba had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, my question is, sometimes the teacher will send like a link to log on to, and when you click on it, it won't go to the link. Is it because it's, I usually like click on it and it won't link on, so I have to go on to either YouTube to log out and look it up through the web.
So linking is a challenge because students, if they're on school devices to watch different YouTube videos, which we have some videos that we've stored on YouTube for students that help with different concepts, students would need to be signed in to YouTube, and they can sign into YouTube just like they sign into Google, and it protects them when they're on YouTube to just watch videos that are approved for Oceanside Unified students. So you can try that. I'm going to show you what it looks like to be signed in to YouTube. And on the device, you would just have to do that one time and then they should remember. So if I go to YouTube, up in this top right corner, you should see your student's profile name. And you can see I'm signed in with my oside.us. Your student can sign in with that same, with their student ID number at oside.us, and any video that the teacher posts on there is in our protected YouTube account. So I always recommend, even for our little learners, to sign them into that YouTube, and then they can't be going all over YouTube finding things. It will be what's protected, and the links should work when the teacher has posted those. If it's a problem, check back with your teacher and say, you know, this link's not working, and maybe they need to go through that approval process. And I know on Seesaw, sometimes the links open up. I'm gonna try to find the sample. Say they have something that looks like this. Sometimes you have to go to view original to get the document with the links. And so sometimes they have things that are here. This Safe YouTube crashed over the weekend, so those links weren't always available. So I'll show you how I did that again. Sometimes when you click, it just depends on how the teacher has linked certain things. It's not where, oh, I have to go to view original on the bottom. And sometimes it will send you there. Sometimes you do need to open it up in a new window or browser. We're trying to get that a little more seamless, but it just depends on what type of link it is, how they linked it, and how you're signed in. So there's lots of factors of why it might not work every time.
Thank you.
Kelly, if you want to switch over and let me share my screen real quick. I'm going to show you on our district website where you can find this information. Let's see, where did it go? Nope. I have to log in. Nope, here we go. Kelly, do you have your screen available?
Yes, well,
I'm sorry.
you're on now.
I'm having to log back in from the beginning. Let's see.
Okay, let's see. Do you want me to do those
Here we
last
go.
slides?
Here we go. I got it. Oop.
I'm on.
I was going to take them to the district website and show them
Okay.
the virtual learning and the
Okay.
parent resource guide.
So, district website and the virtual learning page.
Yes. So we've created a website where we're going to be updating information about different things that are happening for parents during our virtual learning phase, and probably also for our next phase as we transition. But you'll see you've got listed all of the virtual parent academies that we're offering. And also in there's a link in that, and then also in the article down below, it says parent resources for virtual learning. There's a wonderful guide that Kelly has put together for us. And Kelly, if you want to click on that. So in this, it's in Spanish and English. You'll find all of the different programs and platforms that we're using with our students. And many of these have a link to either a video or documentation that will kind of guide you through step by step a lot of the information that we're covering in these virtual academies, as well as some additional information that we might not have covered. So this is a great place to go if you need a little refresher, you want to go back and kind of walk through something again. So this is available, and like I said, it is available in Spanish and in English.
And I would say if you have an iPad, which most of our TK2 students are using iPads out there, this iPad troubleshooting at home document comes in handy for downloading apps, getting through that content keeper. That is an important document to have on hand when you get error messages or things aren't working the way you think they should be working. And then there's that video that I was talking about how to log in, introduction for families, logging in the first time, and just different video overviews or document overviews to help you with Seesaw. So lots of information on here, but for this group, that iPad and the Seesaw would be the most helpful for you right now.
Thank you, Kelly. If you want to go back to the district website again real quick.
Yes.
I also want to direct you to go back to the home page. Over on the quick links on the right-hand side, you'll see there's a link there for safely reopening OUSD. So if you have any questions about where we're at in the process, that's a great website to let you know where we're at and what our next steps are. I just want to direct you to that because those are going to be really good. Both of those sites are going to be great places to get information. And if you look at the top of any of the home pages, you'll see there's a Facebook a Twitter, and a YouTube icon. Click on those. Those are also great ways to keep in touch and to find out the latest that's happening within the district. It would be really helpful if you signed up to follow the district, and that way you'll get the latest information on what's happening. So we'll go ahead and open it up now for any questions that you might have. I'm going to add my email address into the chat room, and if you have any questions or if anything comes up, feel free to email me. And if I don't have the answer, I'll be sure to put you in touch with whoever could best answer your question. We do have a couple more slides on the presentation.
I can pull those up. And I put my email out there too. If you have Seesaw specific questions, feel free to email me. I've been helping lots of teachers and parents for the last 2 weeks. Okay, so we do have tech support available. So if something's going on with your device, if your student has forgotten their username or password, for TK2, we aren't resetting passwords, so that's not as big of an issue. But if you have older siblings that their password resets or they're not being able to get to Rapid ID, you would be calling the help desk, and they're available from 7:30 to 4, and they're available in English and Spanish. If you're having school device issues, they can also help you with that or any other troubleshooting that we haven't mentioned.
And actually, I see a mistake on that slide. The Spanish call-in number is actually 760-966-4443. We'll need to make sure to correct that. That was one we were using over the summer.
There you go. Oh, that's English. So, sorry.
Nope.
I fixed the wrong one. Okay, it's 44. And this one is 760-966-4443.
Correct. Thank you.
Yep.
And then the next slide. So if you're interested, we do have some additional parent academies coming up. Tomorrow we have one on Google Classroom. Thursday we have one on Apex, which is geared more towards our secondary students. And then next week, for those elementary participants here today, we're going to do a session on Tuesday that's going to cover our benchmark and our Go Math, which are two of the curriculums that we use for English language arts and math. So if you're having any questions on those two, please join us on Tuesday. And then our last scheduled Parent Academy is going to be on Wednesday, and that's going to be on iReady, which is our assessment tool that we will be using. So again, that might be a very helpful presentation to sit in on as we venture through this virtual learning.
Yep. And some of your students might already have started iReady. I know our secondary, my 2 middle schoolers already started their iReady this week. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't have that.
We had a question, Kelly. Somebody wants to know when they're going to receive the Seesaw Family Invitation.
Just contact your teacher. Sometimes the teachers are working to get all the students connected first and then send out those parent invites. So just ask your child's teacher for the parent invite. Each teacher has access to those.
Super, thank you. And any other questions? I feel like I should play the Jeopardy theme song. For those of you that are here, if you're satisfied and you don't have any further questions at this time, you're free to log off. Don't just remember that you do have those resources on the district website that you can check out, the parent resource guide for virtual learning, and then also email one of us and we'll be glad to help you. Maria?
And also, I just want to remind the parents to make sure that we have your email address up to date. So in case that we have any changes or the teacher wants to contact you or the district needs to contact you, so we have the correct email address and phone numbers.
Flor Luna had a question, says, for the next meeting, do I have to sign in with you every week? If you're talking about the next virtual academy, if you did not register on the Google form, the survey that was sent out, you can go back and register for any of the other classes that maybe you decided you want to sign up for. And that will, you can find that on that virtual learning page on the district website. There's a link there to the survey. So you can just click on it and go back in and fill it out again with any of the other classes that you're interested in. So yes, unfortunately, we do need you to sign in ahead of time. And then for each meeting, just like today, you'll get an email with the code about an hour prior to the meeting. And the only reason we're doing that is for safety, just making sure that the right people are here and we're not having any Zoom bombers. Any other questions?
I appreciate all of you coming and learning about Seesaw today and all of your patience as we have been kind of bumpy here and there, getting all the programs going, getting students logged in, working with your teacher, but stick with it. You'll start seeing some amazing things come through Seesaw, and it's great to see the students be able to express themselves in a variety of ways on the platform. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they all do.
The students usually do much better than we do at this technology. Having grown up with it.